So today's webinar is titled On the Fly Filtering. And it's a very interesting topic because all of us are familiar with filtering in 3D modeling programs. We use filtering a lot. And if you think about it, the reason why we use filtering is because we want to either see something on the screen with less clutter, or we want to select something. And why do we want to select something? It's because we want to do something with it. Now, if you think about it, most of the time when we are modeling, we are selecting and we are then doing something with the selection. So we don't realize, but selection is a huge part of the modeling process. We don't realize how important it is to save a few seconds here and a few seconds there, because those few seconds here and few seconds there really add up. And if you're doing modeling for 30 days, we don't realize that maybe 10 days out of those 30 days are spent actually selecting stuff and then doing something with that selection. So it's a huge part of modeling. 3D modeling is all about selection and then modification. And we need to think about this. Now, normally, what do we do? How do we do the filtering? Normally, what we have is what we call view filters and selection filters. And what we do is we can, for example, I just go through the normal filtering mechanism for you. So if you double click on the anywhere on the view, you get this filter. And if you open the filter option, you see a lot of detail. So, you can names, unique IDs, parent IDs, assembly numbers, form work groups, this and that, object types. You can filter according to the various object types, groups. Let's say you wanted to filter according to a profile and you wanted to find out. So you'll open this and then you'll write something over there. Let's say you want to filter the HEA 300 profiles. And you will say, okay, so this whole process has taken maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds. And the reason why, you might think that 20 seconds is not important, but it is important if you do it 10,000 times. So I'm going to press OK, and it's going to take some time. And now it's produced the filter. But now I need to go back in and modify because it's showing everything else. It's showing me my beams, which are HEA 300. I can see that, but there's other clutter as well. So somewhere in there, I need to find them. So as you can see, this normal filtering process takes 10 seconds, takes 15 seconds. Sometimes if you want to set up a little more complex filter, it can take a lot more than that. And every time you press OK and you do them, that a couple of seconds are lost in that as well. So what is on-the-fly filtering? On-the-fly filtering is basically a much faster way of doing this thing called selection, which we do, like I said, repetitively, hundreds of times, if not thousands of times during the lifetime of a project. And it makes the difference between doing something in 20 seconds or 30 seconds and doing the same thing in 2 seconds or 5 seconds. That's the idea. But because it's done repetitively, it's extremely beneficial in the overall sense. So how does it work? Now, instead of doing the filter, which is going into the filter, writing something, instead of doing that, you can select the whole building if you want to. You can select a part of the building, you select the whole building, and you just press enter. And when you press enter, it automatically does a group filtering for you. Now, what does it do? It says, let me explain this dialog box a little. So it says that you have selected 6,069 profiles. Look at this over here. You've selected 22,000 plates. You've selected 12,900 bolts. And of course, if the visibility was open, I could have selected rebars, macros, and welds, and I'll talk about those. But let me do a quick example. If I press this profile button over here, just like that, immediately all the different profiles, all the different section names are listed over here. With you've got 22 HEA 500s, you've got 5 HEA 550s. If I select this, for example, the 22 HEA 500s are selected in the background. I can see them. I can zoom in and I can see that they've been selected. If I select, for example, the HEA 600s, then those profiles are selected in the background. And I can work with them at this point. If I were to say, okay, I don't want the section name filtering, but I want the beam group filtering. Now, let's see, now it's collapsed the entire building into beams and columns and girts and horizontal braces and sag rods and stringers. Let me just press the beams, and immediately all the beams in the building are selected, as you can see on the screen. If I were to, for example, select the columns, then all the columns are selected. If I were to combine this beam group with the section name, I can then, maybe go into the section name as well. And now I can say, with the columns, I can say the HE700 profiles, which are columns. I don't want them to be beams. I don't want them to be anything else. So I can combine these filters over here, which you see in the bottom. So if I wanted to select only the purlins, then just with a single click, you can see over here at the bottom left corner, 85 objects are selected. That's the same number as you see over here, 85. 85 purlins. So it says 924 horizontal braces. If I select that, you see the 924 over here, and all the horizontal braces have been selected. And now I can do anything I want with them, basically. So this is a very, I'll continue and give more and more examples of how this works. For example, if I were to, instead of profiles, if I were to go into the plate section, for example, and say I want to change the material of all the plates with the thickness of 15 millimeters, and it's listed them according to thickness. So I'm going to select this, and immediately only those plates with the thickness of 15 millimeters are selected in the entire model, as you can see on the screen. And all I need to do is now just press, if I can just say press display the property editor. When I do that, I can immediately go in there and change the material to say, I want the material to be ST52. I'm just going to press OK. And all those plates, the materials are now being changed by COMOSYS in the background from the entire model, because that's what I selected. So it's a very quick way of accessing your database. That's what's important over here. You don't have to basically worry about anything else regarding the selection process or regarding the filtering. And that's what makes it extremely important. Now, let me show you something else over here as well. Now, if I were to, for example, let me hold on a second. If I were to, just give me a second. Yes. So if I were to now do an example for rebars, you can see that over here, this is a model with some rebars. And I can, for example, over here, go and select this rebar and say, right click and say rebars and show me the parents with this, the objects, select all the rebars with the same parent. And immediately all those rebars of this wall are selected. I can say show only. And I can see my rebars of that wall. But now if I were to go and select all of them like that, press enter, that's on the fly filtering for you. And I press rebar, you can see that I can immediately see the 10 millimeter rebars. If I select those are selected in the background. If I say 12 millimeters, those are selected in the background. If I say not according to the diameter, but according to the rebar type. So this will see the main, the secondaries, the cross ties, the top mains and the top secondaries. That's very important. If I were to say, for example, select all the cross ties, then all the cross ties in that wall, as you can see, have been selected, and the number is 66, which you can see. And I can now basically press enter. And if I press enter, I can maybe change their diameter from 8 mil. If I want to change it to say 12 millimeters, I can, if you see on the screen, all the diameters of all the cross ties have been modified. So this is very, very useful in making these modifications, basically allowing you to quickly access all these elements. Now I'm going to continue with some more examples. Let me see what I have. Yeah, now what I want to do is something very interesting for you. Let me open another building for you. Yeah, so this is important. This is interesting. I'm going to do a different kind of a filtering, maybe something you haven't seen before. Now, let's talk about a scenario which you can see very often. And this scenario is, let's say I want to work with all the bolted gusset connections where the main profile, so these are bolted gusset connections, for example, where the main profile is HEB 300, right? That's my filter. The main profile of the macro should be HEB 300, and that's what I want. So what do I do? If I once again, if I use on-the-fly filtering and I just go and select everything like that, and I press enter. Now you see, I've discussed this dialog box that we can see the 985 profiles, 3,719 plates, bolts, etc. But if you see, there are also 792 macros over here, right? And we want to find out those macros. If I open this, you see that it says, okay, you've got 2 beam-on-beam macros, you've got 10 beam-to-beam end plate macros, you've got one of this, you've got 200 bolted gusset macros. Somewhere in that model, I've got 200 bolted gusset macros. Now, if I were to click on this, immediately the 200 bolted gusset macros are selected from that building in the background. Now, if I were to double-click on this, because I don't have all the information yet, I want only those bolted gusset macros in which the main is HEB 300. So let me double-click on that. And now it gives me a further refinement on that. And if I open this, you see that it tells you that from all the bolted gusset macros in this building, you've got 56 with the main being HEB 300, 16 with the main being IPE 120, 34 with the main being, so that's a lot of information. Let me open the ones which are HEB 300. And when I open that, it tells me that within that, there are 4 different secondaries with different approach angles, slightly different approach angles. So I can go and modify the entire lot, or let me just, for example, select this particular one, the 16 one, 16 secondaries. And if I say display the property editor for this, so these are, so before I do that, let me see which ones these are. These are the 16, which is showing me over here, with the main being HEB 300 and the secondary being CHS 88.9. If I just right click over there and say macros, select the dependent elements, I can see where those profiles are. I can see them on, if you see they're red, these are the connections, all the 16 cases where the modification has been done. So I can not only just select the macros, I can also see the elements which I need to modify. So let's go in and do that. Or maybe I can select this one, or maybe I can select the whole thing. What if I select the whole entire 56? And I go in there and I say macros, select the dependent elements. And now I can see in a better way, maybe, because there's more of those. All these connections, all these bolted gusset connections are the ones which satisfy this condition that the main is HEB 300. Now, what do I want to do? Let me go back to my my example now. Let me see, take a look at my notes. Yeah, so I want the gusset plate thickness for all these to be changed. So what do I want? I want this gusset plate thickness to be changed. So normally if I were to do this by hand, if I open the dialog box of the macro, you will see that I can go in and I can go to the parts, and instead of 12 millimeters, I can change it to 15 millimeters and press OK. And when I do that, the thickness on the screen changes. But the question was, do it everywhere in this model. And what do? We just go and select this. We notice that the 56 places have been selected. And we just say display the property editor once again. And when we do that, when the property editor will open for all the 56 cases, all we need to do is go to the part section and change it from 12 to 15. It's going to take a couple of seconds because it's going to go through the entire model. But it's going to go and make the changes for all those cases, all those 56 cases, wherever it found them in the model, and convert their gusset plate thicknesses to 15 millimeters. So this is a very, very powerful and very, it's done with that now. And now I'm sure that wherever I had the HEB 300 section, my gusset plate has been modified. Now, let me go back to my notes, please. Give me a second. The next example is another example where somebody has let's say somebody from the team says that all the different end plate macros where the main is HEB 300 and the secondary is IPE 140. That's the connection I want to change in this model. But wherever it is, I don't know where they are. So the main should be HEB 300 and the secondary should be IPE 140. And it should be a stiffen end plate connection. And I want to change the bolts. So let me just first of all find them. I just go and enter like that. Go to my macros. As you can see, I go down, find my stiffen end plate. Okay, there. So good 297 stiffen end plate connection macros. Let me double click on that. Now, what do I want? I want HEB 300 as the main. So it tells me, okay, these are the mains, HEB 300 with the secondary being the beam, not a column. So this group is the one I'm interested in. And within this group, there is 16 with the secondary being 140, and there's 72 with the secondary being IPE 220. I'm interested in the first group, where the secondary is 140. So I just select that. Let me just see where they are. How do I do that? I just right click and I go to the macros and say select these ones. And I can see these are the ones. These are the ones my teammates have requested that I change. And what is the change request? Change request is that the bolts should be changed. So what I do is I go and change one of them to see whether I can do the change easily or not. I go to my bolts tab. So instead of 2 bolts, I want 3 bolts. So I make that 2 into 36, for example. So make it 3 bolts and make this distance a bit smaller, maybe so that it can fit, and change it to, and this is the requested change. I change it into an M12 connection. And if I see, okay, so this is doable. It fits over there. Now all I need to do is go once again back into my on-the-fly filtering box. Once again, I see that all the cases in the model have been selected. I open my dialog box. Once again, pull it aside. Like I said, I changed the bolt diameter. I changed this to 25. I changed this to 2 into 36. 2 into 36. And I just press OK. And once again, immediately you can see everywhere in the model. The whole idea was that I don't know where these conditions exist in the model. And everywhere in the model, the thing was changed immediately. Now, let's make another quick modification. Let's see if I were to select all the entire thing like that and go to the macros. And I go to my floor macros. And there are 8 of those. And they're over here, I think. So, and I want to change them to checkered plates. Currently they're gratings, these ones. And so I go to my floor macro and I open my dialog box. And let me just double click on that. And I say, instead of grating, I want checkered plates. So I'm going to just press that, press OK, and immediately you see all these things. You could probably see them move. And they changed very fast. So imagine this ability where you can actually filter the macros And not only just filter the macros, you can also filter them according to the main and the secondary. So let's do another example. For example, let's go to the heating center. That's another interesting example I can show you. And here we have a building with lots of handrails around the, lots of different handrails. Maybe there, let me see how many there are. Let me just go out and select the whole building. I don't even know where they are. I'm just selecting the whole building, pressing enter, pressing macros, going down and see there's 60 handrails in this building. And I'm going to basically, this is going to take a few seconds, but I'm just going to double click on the handrail macro. And my requirement is that if I open this up, I can see the mains as well. So I know which. I'm going to just select all of them. It's going to take a few seconds. But if I go to the post settings and I want the post height to be changed to 1200 millimeters. So just notice on the screen, you will see that the post heights will start changing. If I just press OK over here, they're being changed in the entire model right now. All the 60 cases where we had handrails, you can see some of them being lifted on the screen right now. It's going through the entire, it's going through the model, it's finding the handrail macros, it's going into each one of them. It's changing the post height as per the requirement, which was asked of me. And now you'll probably start seeing the ones at the top slowly beginning to change as well. Yeah, you can see them now. They're coming up. And at the end of this, I will show you that I will realize that I didn't actually want to change all of them. I actually made a mistake and I wanted to change only these ones, but I've accidentally changed even the handrails, which are over here, which are on the stairs. And I don't want to change that. So, and I don't even know how many stairs there are, but I know there's the profile, the Stinger profile is UNP 200. So that's the information I have. And I just go once again, select the entire building, go like that, go to my macros, go to my handrail macro. And this time, instead of opening up the entire lot, I know this is the one I want, the UNP, ones with the main being UNP 200. Okay, there are only two, but they could have been 200. And I just go back into the dialog box and I say, okay, this one doesn't need to be 1200, it needs to stay at 1000. And I press OK, and you will see on the screen how this will change, right? So those, basically, however many there were, they have now been brought back to the level. Now, we can do something similar with the approach angles as well. So it's not just about mains and secondaries. So let's do something over here, which is even more interesting. Let me just go and quickly select the entire building. And I want those HEA 160, the bolted gusset plate connections, with L60 by 6 angles. So let me find the bolted gusset plates. Yeah, there they are. And I'm only interested in the ones in which the secondaries are, the main is HEA 160. So this is the main. And the secondaries are 60 by 6 angles. And if you notice on the screen, it's also giving me the angles of approach because of this filter over here. And it's saying that the two of them have an approach angle of 32 degrees. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more with approach angles of 46, 46, 47, 47, 48, 48. So 46 to 48 is very close. I can maybe make a common change for all of them because this angle is quite different. So I don't want to do, I only want these 6. So what I can do is I can go and select these 6 with very similar approach angles of 46, 47, and 48. And when I do that, if I were to right click and say macros and show me the dependents, you can see that they're over there inside. And I can now very safely make these changes. The thing I want to talk about over here is that I can even group them according to their approach angles. Because if the approach angle is very different, then maybe I don't want to make the same changes in all of them. So I'll make one change in this and then one change in the other one. And that's really convenient. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. Now, one last thing I want to talk about is that the system actually works. Let me just open the other drawing, as the other building as well. Don't want to do that. The system actually works with your drawings as well. It's not just on the modeling side, but even in your drawings, you're able to use the same idea. So let me, for example, go to your drawings. This is the earlier building. And let me open this drawing, for example. And let's say the change I want to do is, so we've got beams and horizontal braces and columns over here, as you can see on the screen. But I want to basically change the color of only the horizontal braces on this floor. If I just select, normally it would be quite a headache, but if I just select the entire floor over there, press enter, and if I go to the profiles over here, and I say I want to group not the section name, but the beam group. And once I select the beam group, I can see the horizontal braces. There are 170 horizontal braces. You can see them the moment I do. If I just press display property editor, if I want, I can go in and now change their color from this one to maybe this one, and just do that. And immediately my horizontal braces only have been changed. Now I want to, for example, give it a different annotation. I only want to annotate the beams, not the horizontal braces, and not even the columns or anything, just the beams. So I just select like that. I press enter, go to my profiles, select according to beam group, not by section name. And I say I want to select the beams only. I open the beams dialog box. So now only the beams are selected so easily. Nothing else is selected. And I just go to my annotation and I say, okay, can you annotate the profiles for me? And immediately only the beams are annotated, as you can see on the screen. The horizontal braces and the columns and everything else has been left out. And this is because of my filter. So there's a lot I haven't showed you yet, but it's a very powerful way of getting things done quickly. Why? Because you're selecting things very quickly. That's the whole idea. And I don't want to, I think I've already gone above my time almost. So I'll stop now. I'll go back and take a look at the chat and see where, let's see.